Hey everyone, this is Ms. Moffat from across the Litiverse, and I'll be taking a closer look at The Glass Castle by Jeannette Walls. I've mentioned this across a few videos now, but I felt I needed to cast a spotlight on The Glass Castle, mostly because I've been tussling with events from this book in a way that's just very uncommon for me. I don't often read nonfiction, and when I do, it's unusual for me to read a memoir, but Walls' writing was so clear and captivating, and her family's life was so dysfunctional, I found it hard to break away from this book. First, a little background. Jeannette Walls was one of 4 children born to Rose and Rex Walls, a couple who openly denounced living the standard American life. Rex was a charismatic and brilliant man who on one hand had great ideas for the future and on the other hand was an alcoholic who couldn't hold down a job. Rose was a creative free spirit who loved her children fiercely, craved new adventure endlessly, and hated the idea of domesticity. Growing up, Walls and her siblings were constantly on the move, often having to do the skedaddle, as Rex called it, to avoid debt collectors and the police. There were times when the family lived out in the desert under the stars for weeks on end, making do with what they had. Later they made their way to Welch, West Virginia, where the family lived in extreme poverty for years. Throughout Jeannette's life, Rex mapped out his plans for his infamous glass castle, a gorgeous house made of glass that would support the family and finally offer a safe, solid place to call home. Of course, these dreams never came to be, and the children had to learn to survive on their own. Walls was a master at capturing the heartwarming, memorable moments of her family's life together, along with the brutal and at sometimes terrifying situations her parents placed her in. Rex Walls let his children pick out a star from the sky when there wasn't enough money for gifts one year, and he's also the man who would drink his family into poverty and allow his children to sleep in cardboard boxes. Rose Walls had faith in her children's ability to take care of themselves, which often translated into her not earning money and allowing her children to starve for weeks on end. Walls captured those dual personalities with such nuance, and I think that's why I haven't been able to shake this book since reading it. What I keep coming back to is how clearly this book pointed out my own biases when it comes to living a proper life. Rex and Rose didn't adhere to the idea of a 9-to-5 job, a 5-day work week, or life in a big city. Rex felt at home in the wilderness, off the beaten path, and he wanted to invent gadgets that would revolutionize lives. And Rose wanted an endless life of adventure that avoided monotony. But how do you live that way when kids are involved? Rex could talk himself into getting any job he wanted, and Rose had a background in teaching that put her in high demand at schools in impoverished neighborhoods. So how could they let their children live in such extreme poverty? The Walls children were impressively resilient and immensely creative when it came to finding food for themselves or fixing their clothes or creating safe spaces for themselves throughout an often dangerous childhood. In particular, seeing how hard Lori, Jeannette, and Brian worked to save enough money to send Lori to New York was completely inspiring. And I definitely got teary-eyed as Lori then pulled Jeannette, Brian, and their youngest sister Maureen to a new life in New York, away from their parents. I understand why Rex and Rose wanted to live off the grid and why they ultimately chose to be homeless, but this is where my bias kicks in. If it was within your power to give your kids a safer, healthier life, why wouldn't you do it? I don't doubt that the Walls children are more resourceful than I am, and I don't doubt the strength that they found in themselves in order to survive. But I'm still so disturbed by the situations that Rex and Rose put their children in. The book opens with a 3-year-old Jeannette getting severely burned after her dress catches fire while she's cooking hot dogs for herself. I just cringe thinking about so much of it, but again, is it really my place to pass judgments like that? Is it just a matter of a different approach to living life? Like I said, I've been tussling with this book non-stop since I read it, and I still don't think I've come to a clear conclusion. Overall, I gave this book 4 to 5 stars for haunting me so thoroughly. The film adaptation came out on August 11th, and I've left a link to the trailer in the description below. So have you guys checked out this book? I'm curious to hear some other thoughts on this one. I'm sure there could be a lot of heavy discussions around the Glass Castle. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up to support this channel. As always, thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe for more videos from across the Litiverse. On that note, signing off. Is it just a matter of a different is it just a matter